Hi, my name is Father Michael. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about examining your conscience, especially as we go into Advent, which is a season of reflection and anticipation, to slow down and to take stock. And there's an important reason for that. And it's not merely a spiritual exercise. It is an evaluation of our overall spiritual health. Life is extremely busy. As you all know, I don't have to tell you that. But the busyness is unique these days, probably different from the past, where we have so many technological distractions. We have a very dominant materialistic approach to things, and we find our hope for happiness in sort of like this capitalistic venture that I'm going to get money and stuff, and that's going to kind of make me happy. And so our religious fervor that we should have for the Lord is really oftentimes put into this pursuit of worldly endeavors and the busyness of life. And we consider that almost a religious virtue to be that busy, but it's not. And it's important to slow down. The busyness of life leads to a messiness of life. Life's going to be messy one way or the other because we don't control most of our life. If you really think about it, we have very little control over even ourselves. So when life gets both busy and messy, we really run the risk of moral wounds. And what I mean by that are ways that we compromise our conscience, either in sin or even being hurt by others and then not being forgiving and harboring resentment. And that's a really uncomfortable feeling to have that moral wound. And so what we tend to do is not slow down, stop, take stock of that wound, figure out how to reconcile it and heal. What we oftentimes do is go to what we know, which is that rat race. If I just stay busy, if I could just push down that moral woundedness, that pain, that unhappiness, and just find more stuff, which is what has promised to make me happy. I've bought into that lie. And stay busy, everything will be okay. But then what happens is we're unhappy in our busyness, and that leads us to yet more moral compromise, more sin, more woundedness, which just creates this horrible cycle. Which is why the great spiritual Christian fathers and doctors of the church and every great saint and really every good Christian knows the value of reflecting, stopping, reflecting, and examining our conscience. That's, again, what we're talking about today is that examination of conscience. I wanted to start with the why we need to examine our conscience, because life is busy and messy. Now let's talk just a little bit about how to set ourselves up for that examination. And then the next video will actually be a guided examination of conscience for your benefit, something that hopefully you'll be able to watch time and again in preparation to go to confession, right? So we wound ourselves morally through sin and through all sorts of moral compromises, all of which can probably be categorized as sin. And so our conscience bleeds. And when we stop and slow down, our first reaction might be that this is really hard and scary. Hard because we're not used to slowing down. We're not used to stopping. And now, oh my gosh, I've lost all my speed and momentum. What am I to do? What am I to do in this stillness, in this empty space that I've just made? Well, there's an activity that you can do there. It's called prayer. In this particular case, we're talking about an examination of conscience. It's also scary, though, because we see, oh my gosh, my conscience is in tatters. And if we're just left with that, we would despair. My conscience is left in tatters. I should have never slowed down and stopped and looked at my conscience. I should have just kept going. If all we're left with is the woundedness, what am I to do? The good news, of course, is, though, that we're not left with that woundedness. Once we identify, oh my gosh, my conscience is in rough shape, I need to be healed, man, the doctor is right there. The surgeon is just right around the corner. The surgeon, of course, the divine physician is Jesus Christ. And he has his surgeons on standby, the priests of his church, who are able to receive you, a wounded soul, and to apply the remedy, the surgical remedy of Christ to remove the woundedness of sin, to take out all that shrapnel, to scrape out all the infection, to sew up that wound, and to heal it through the grace of the sacrament of reconciliation. Right? And so an examination of conscience is a preparation for us to go to confession. Confession is the method by which Christ reconciles us to himself, and being in friendship with Jesus is the actual remedy to human sadness. It's the actual promise of that for which we hope, which is happiness, not necessarily in this life, but perhaps in this life, certainly in the next. And so without slowing down and examining our conscience, we never really come to that conclusion. We never really experience that healing, and we never really have that reason to hope. So this Advent season, begin an experiment that hopefully will last you for the rest of your life in this world, of slowing down at the end of every day, at the beginning of every day, in the middle of every day, at least once a day, and then examine your conscience. And at the end of the week, a little bit more significantly, take some time, take some stillness, examine your conscience, and ask yourself just one question. In my current state, am I still friends with Jesus? Or do I need to go and be reconciled with him so that I can be set back on the path, once again, of happiness? Thanks for watching.